Everybody, welcome. It is game day for the Razorback baseball team. Welcome to the Arkansas Diamond Report. I'm Jason Pattison. Want to thank y'all for jumping on, joining us today. Got Dudley live down in Arlington today. Super excited to talk to him, find out how everything was, how the trip went, going down, all that good stuff leading up into the game. Got him coming in, and John are down there to get all the best shots for everybody and report on all the happenings during the game for this and also for the entire weekend. So let's bring him on. And Dudley, how's it going?
Doing good. It was a pretty good trip down. Me and my beautiful wife Petra made it down, and only one person, a cop in Oklahoma, thought we were going too fast. I must say he was really nice, though. He could have dinged me for more than he did. So it's all good.
And I were just talking a minute ago, man. Too bad you didn't have some of that Otis Kirk luck because it seems like he can fly and not really get caught sometimes.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. I go too slow if it's if that's the deal. The notice goes way too fast, as John will tell you. But it's one of those things that you just kind of fall in with how everybody else is flying along there. I'm of the mind that the Oklahoma police officer, because my Nissan Rogue is burnt orange, that may have picked, that may have been his attention. I gotten his attention there. So I look at it as Newport Greyhound orange, but he may have looked at it as Texas burnt orange, being an Oklahoma cop. So
Yeah, I can see that. And I'll have to look out for that too because my Santa Fe is burnt orange also. So yeah, I'm not going to go flying through Oklahoma if that's the case for sure. Well, it's game day. Arkansas first pitch 7 o'clock tonight. Hagen Smith taking the bump. You got
yeah,
a rematch.
looking forward to it for a couple of reasons. Obviously, Oregon State's number 7 in the country, Arkansas number 2. It'd be good to see Hagen get back on the mound. Obviously, his first effort, 42 pitches, was not good at all. Got the first 3 batters on base, and first couple batters on base, and then Fenwick Trimble took him deep. Arkansas fought back and won that game. But this is going to be, I'm going to have a story up at Hogville in a little bit, referencing the late, great Jimmy Buffett. And come Monday, we're going to know a lot more about this Arkansas baseball team after playing Oregon State, Oklahoma State, and Michigan on Sunday afternoon. And no disrespect to the team that Arkansas just played, but it wasn't the caliber of 1 through 9 and the pitching staff, velocity, all that they'll see this weekend, and they'll see it in a controlled setting, 72 degrees inside. That's always fun.
Yeah, I don't want to attribute all of the happenings that might have been against the Hogs last weekend due to weather. There's some guys that play great in cold weather. There are some guys that play great in hot weather. And those guys that play great in hot weather, they don't fare well in when it was 34, 36 degrees. And there's not a lot of people that would. But I think that you'll see Hagen Smith come back and I think have a better performance this week. Tonight, I also feel that, last Friday was kind of a wash for him. Kind of get the dust kind of knocked off. You're back in a live game situation. Outside of him, I felt like most of the team performed exceptionally well. You play a team 4 times in a row. There's always that chance that they might get you that one game, which is what happened, but that's fine. And with, like you said, the step up in competition this weekend is, I think, what Dave Van Horn has been really looking forward to.
Yeah, and the kids will get, or the young man will get an opportunity to get geared up a little bit more. As you said, the weather was a little tough there those first 2 games. I do think that when it boils down to it, you had the one bad inning from Hagen Smith. The rest of the week, you had maybe one bad inning of relief when they came back to get their one win. But the thing I think we saw offensively was too many people left on base, some bad base running. You had too many guys left on base with 2 out. When the game they scored 3 runs, they had 11 left on base, and you just cannot do that against the caliber of the team that you're going to be facing this weekend, especially tonight. This should be a great one. Oregon State comes in 5-0. They already have a win down here. They played Texas Tech, beat them 10-4 on Wednesday morning. as they have quite the baseball fest or baseball palooza going on down here over, I think it's 20 teams playing 24 games in 27 days. Just a great deal to to get them some money, fill up their stadium while the Texas Rangers, defending world champions, are in spring training in Arizona, I guess. So, it was just a one weekend series for a few years, and now they're putting it together. And I expect to be down here every year because Dave Van Horn has made that statement that as long as they're invited, they're going to come, because you just have a controlled environment and you're going to play. Mm-hmm. You might have a few extra inning games, but you're not going to have something rained out, colded out, whatever the phrase would be to keep you from playing. And I think that's something he really likes, and I know I do too.
Yep. And, what I like too about them playing in the Dome is you have that controlled environment where it makes it an even playing field for both teams. So that way you don't have, if something happens, it's more of you didn't really expect it to happen type of, if there was, God forbid, any injuries, knock on wood, or anything of that nature caused by weather, that, it's going to be more of an even playing field. What I do like to see is that Dave Van Horn, again, is sticking with that righty-lefty weekend matchup that you're going to probably be seeing for the foreseeable future. The back end of the bullpen, I feel like, kind of made some strides on and gave Dave some really, really good insight on who he not only can trust, but who he can trot out there and kind of interchange, that 5th, 6th, 7th inning versus that 8th and 9th inning as well.
Yeah, obviously Will McIntyre did a great job in his role this week, and his role is going to be one. I'm not going to say it's identical to Kevin Kopp's, but it's going to be a guy that can come in any inning, can go get you 2 innings, can close if you need to, can go 7 innings. You have similar situation to what you had with Hagan when he opened the game on Friday. The interesting thing to me this weekend is, will Colin Fisher, will he be used in a high leverage situation this weekend, or will they save him for Tuesday's game with Grambling State and kind of keep him on a starter's repertoire and all that? So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Gabe Gackle, I think, is a fantastic freshman pitcher. He had 1 bad inning after having a couple of good ones, and he's pitched really well during spring practice. So I'm looking forward to seeing what, him bouncing back. He's got electric speed. He can touch 100 on his fastball. He's got several pitches. There's a big reason he was a high draft pick prospect and one who asked for a lot of money, and that's why he's here at the university. He had a number that they wanted to, that ML club, B clubs didn't go to, but I'm excited to watch him pitch, as well as some of these other guys. Parker Coyle came out there, didn't have his best appearance as a Razorback in 2 years. I think he'll bounce back. They have 11 lefties on this squad. That's a lot of people to go to, and clearly Stone Hewlett is going to be the lefty on left specialist, and close out a game last weekend. So that transfer from Kansas is maybe not see the most innings this year, but he may see a lot of high leverage ones for sure.
Yeah, speaking of transfers, Ty Wilmsmeyer, good Lord, that guy just started flashing leather. He started flashing the bat. It didn't matter which side of the diamond he was on. Everything that he did, it just felt like it sparked the Razorbacks into if there was a lull, he was able to help spark them. Look at, if I'm not mistaken, it was Sunday where he had 4 RBIs and had the great catch there in center field. He had a solid weekend, and I really look forward to seeing what he's able to do this weekend against better competition.
Yeah, and he's that second leadoff guy that has become in vogue in the major leagues and really in college as well. When you've got a guy with that speed, and he clearly looks to be the fastest kid on the team. He got the 5th. He actually got a 5th RBI that day because he beat out a double play, which most people got thrown out on. So, and he certainly flashed the leather. You mentioned John D. James, our photographer, had a great sequence of pictures of him leading up to catch it, and then obviously catching it. V. Aloy, which I think it's easier for me to say than trying to say his full name. V. Aloy had an incredible catch as well. out there in short, I shouldn't say short left field, medium to deep left field, because they had moved Will Edmondson over into center field more. They flashed some leather there, had only 3 errors in the 4 games, albeit they came in the last 2 games. So that gave Coach Van Horn something to gripe about a little bit. Just one throwing error, though, that we saw. And that came from a guy who in Lovitz, who has done a great job over there, during the weekend.
Yeah. And so looking forward to tonight, like I said, first pitch, 7:00. Unfortunately,
I lost my mind there for a second. Jared Sprague-Lot, or JSL, as I call him.
JSL.
He did a great job over there.
Yeah. Unfortunately tonight, if you do want to watch the game, you're going to have to subscribe to Flow Sports. I know that a lot of folks are going to want to watch the game. I get that, and I'm sure that we're going to see quite a lot of Flow Sports bashing on social media, as we do most times. But if you do tune in, you get to watch it. If not, there's always the free option on 92.1. Phil Elson's going to have the call, him and Bubba, and it's going to be a always entertaining show with those 2 guys. But
well, I'm real big into wasted oxygen. We've talked, I think, last week about the Swifties, or the non-Swifties, who complained about her being at the Super Bowl all season.
Yep.
I got the package from Flow Sports to watch softball. The previous 2 weeks when Arkansas's softball team was in Florida and then Arizona. There were games where they didn't have announcers, but I got to see moving pictures. Which, by the way, I'm reading or listening, I guess it should be, listening to a new series. Not really a new series. I guess the last book was in 2014 by David Seuss, S-O-O-S. Mm-hmm. It combines my love of baseball and crime, murder at Fenway Park, murder at Wrigley Field, the Cincinnati Red Stockings. He incorporates Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, all these real life baseball players into a fictional murder or crime story. And so I really enjoyed that on the way down. And when we were talking about moving pictures, one of the first books said 1912, and he had gone to the movie, and he called it The Moving Pictures. So that kind of struck forward with me. But back to what they're doing this weekend. Obviously, I think they'll get a little more amped to play these teams this weekend and to play in this place. Really, Cody Frank has played here more than anybody else. He played here with Arkansas, and he played there with Nebraska. Played in the Big 12 tournament when it was down here. So, and that guy, I mean, that's such a fun story. Dave Van Horn talking about there around the year. Cody Frank's wife holding their baby over there while he was pitching bullpen, and all the young kids, freshmen and all that, standing around watching him play. And he just kind of went by and said, this is a learning lesson right here. This is a learning lesson. And I don't think he was talking about pitching.
Yeah.
Cody seems like a good kid, good young man, and as I often say now that I'm a grandpa, it's happy and healthy baby. That's what you want. So that's what they got.
Exactly. And he's starting to also find out that whenever you're the parent, the parents are the background. The babies are always the first. And so, yeah, it is fun.
I had a talk with Brooks Dawson about that this week. It's not that I'm more excited, not that I love the grandson Arthur D, the A-Train Dawson, more than I love Brooks.
Nice.
It's that it reminds me of when he was young. And I got to tell you, I love seeing Brooks' tired face. I now am fully, and I think Petra's mom told her this too. He now knows fully when I was saying paying for raising. As they told me, Brooks is now paying for his raising by staying up some nights with the baby. He said he sings song. It's only one song, and the song is "I Am Hungry." So,
man, whenever my little one was an infant and toddler, I was in the Air Force, and one of the things that I always loved to do, because I work 24 on, 24 off, so my days off, I would always put her to bed. And my wife at the time would get just so sick of it because I would watch the same movie over and over because she would always fall asleep to that movie every time. I would sing to her a little bit, I would read to her a little bit, and then I would put the movie on, we'd watch it, and I'd rock her, and she'd go to sleep. I'm going to tell you what, she has never watched the movie with George Strait so many times in her entire life. But I'm going to tell you what, I can almost cite every word for the first 30 minutes of Pure Country by heart.
Yeah, well, I tell you, I'm kind of looking forward to watching a few of the Disney and Pixar and all those other movies. Under the guise of being doing it for the baby and the toddler, and all that as he grows up. And he's in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. The best thing about this is that refer to Petra again. She has gotten me this key ring, and each stadium you go to, you can get this token down at the bottom. So I'm working on doing that. I think I've been to 21 Major League Baseball stadiums. 2 are no longer there. They've been torn down. But looking forward to going to both Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and going to those stadiums while going out and doing grandpa duties.
Always, yeah, man. That sounds like a lot of fun. It really does, because you get to best of both worlds there. I'm telling you. So, back to the Oregon State thing for just a few minutes, and I know that this is going to be rubbing salt in the wound of Razorback fans. And I get it, because I'm going to tell you what I know, and everybody knows exactly where they're at, where they were at when that foul ball fell to the ground, just hopelessly, unfortunately. You have, Arkansas is 3-3 in the series against Oklahoma State, of course, dropping the most critical series that they've ever played against them. And I know that folks are going to be talking about this, but neither club has anybody, if I'm not mistaken, on that roster at all, because it's been 6 years now. Even with COVID and transfer rules, I don't think you do have anybody that's left on.
Right. You do have some rosters. Coaches. You obviously have some coaches for Arkansas that were there. You have some media that were there for sure. I was there and watched that ball drop and just couldn't believe it. Felt bad for the kids. I don't really root for teams, but felt bad for the kids because the whole entire state came down, with that foul ball. And obviously Oregon State was able to go ahead and win that game and take care of the next night. And so, I made sure I wore one of the College World Series shirts down here. I'm wearing it today, but I'm not wearing the one with Oregon State. Didn't want people throwing stuff at me, so they didn't list the teams. But that certainly is. They've got a new coach. He's done a great job. Like I said, 5-0. They're averaging 10 runs a game. This is a bit more of an offensive team than Arkansas has shown to be so far. So it's going to be, I think a really good game tonight. It'll be interesting. Oregon State has a great baseball following, but I don't know if they follow them to Arlington, Texas. We do know that Arkansas does. They had great crowds the last few years down here and in Houston when they were there. And so it should be a very entertaining, should be an electric atmosphere, and looking forward to it. Got to get Michigan and Oklahoma State out of the way. They play at 3, and but then it'll be the prime time game on Flow Sports or the radio or wherever you. I understand there's some gaming system called Twitch or whatever that you can somehow acquire the game, but I'm not going to offer up details on crying.
So, Arkansas had a chance to make a Reed Arena sweep this week. The Razorback men went down there and literally, it surprised me. They surprised a lot of people with the way that they played and how salty they played. A&M coming out with that real, I think it was a 4-point victory. But the Ladybacks went down last night. Weren't able to hold on. To pull it out. It was a 73-67 victory, but Miriam Dowda, Smart Spencer, and Michaela Daniels, they really came through for the Hogs, the 3 leading point scorers, and you were really hoping to see them kind of pull it out there in Reed.
Yeah, Arkansas, and I'm talking about the women now, are, obviously right there on the bubble. I think the last I saw, they were maybe 6 to 8 out, the last 6 to 8 out. Last night, you could have got a big win over A&M. That's a fellow bubble team. that's what I think hurts this basketball team more. It certainly hurts Mike Neighbors more is when you have these leads. And this is a case, I want to say 5 leads now they've had of 10 in the second half. They've ended up losing the games. That may turn out to be the deciding factor between them going to the NCAA tournament and not. So, it's a tough loss for them last night. It looked like, there for a while they were going to be able to pull it off. But it's tough to get these wins on the road, and that's why you talk about the men's win there with Texas A&M. Wade Taylor and the Aggies made a run at them, but they were able to to hold them off. The big thing I would say about in that game is that the one thing I noticed, and I think a lot of other people did too, Arkansas was all over the floor trying to get loose balls. They were running, helping each other up, a lot of different stuff than maybe a lot of different aesthetics than we had seen, during their losses. And certainly they've had some terrible losses this season. But for one night, they played great. And I guess this is the last Saturday home game they have this year, unless they have one, and if they make the NIT, CBI, But I do think that that was good to see. It's been an average season or below average season, but at least they haven't checked it in yet.
Yep, and you think that Sailor Poffenberger, like some of her production might start to be going on the downside with the amount of minutes that she's played this entire season?
Yeah, and they've been trying to manage her injury. Obviously, I know that from what Coach Neighbors has said, they pick their times, much like NBA guys, I guess, on when to have them practice, when to have her practice, when not. Trying to get her just ready for the games. She has done a tremendous job this year at rebounding. I mean, it's just been off the charts. As you mentioned, the production's gone down a little bit. As the year goes along, you're going to get wore down. Also, teams are going to figure you out and go find you to block you out. But what a phenomenal season she's had. And this is a young woman who has a great backstory, tragic backstory, but I encourage people to kind of go look that up. But she has just had a phenomenal year. And you hope, I would guess, if you're a Razorback fan, that they can close out these last few games, because the season is over in 2 weeks, I think, or at least the regular season. Then you've got the SEC tournament in South Carolina, I think, and it's going to be one way or the other there. And this could be a deal where the SEC tournament ends up getting them in or not.
Yep, and they got 3 games left. They got about a week left in the season. They've got Vanderbilt on the 25th, and then they have South Carolina and Don Staley here on the 29th. And then
the
season.
Yeah, better one the other two.
Yeah, we're gonna look at Vanderbilt and Ole Miss. I mean, let's just face it. South Carolina's in a different stratosphere than everybody else is. It's their world. We're just living in it, and honestly think that you're gonna probably see them, if not make the run into the final game of the season. I would suspect they're probably going to win another national championship, because Don's got that team just going.
And while
Caitlin style.
Yeah, while Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and their teams, have gotten a lot of the publicity, and should, for the way they finished last year and what they've done this year, it just seems clear that South Carolina has been consistently strong. From day one, it's just been a phenomenal effort again by them. The names change except for the coaching staff. The style of play doesn't. They just pummel you, into the loss. And they're fun to watch play. Don's getting Aflac commercials and all that now. So it's all good down there.
Yep. Well, also want to say a shout out to Jason Bell, says first time chat. So I want to thank him for jumping on with us. So let's turn focus back to sports for just a second with softball. You start to see what Courtney and Coach Michael and Coach Gasso and that training staff also. We're starting to see finally what they've been seeing, without our eyes. And as far as this team is starting to finally have the power that you might have thought they had last year. They definitely do this year. You have Hannah Gamble that's finally starting to get on track. You have other players that are really starting to produce consistently. And that was one of the things that I kind of took from Courtney's press conference after the game, was that she felt like they're starting to see what this team is now versus what they could be.
Yeah, let's be honest. They're 9-2, and the offense really hasn't clicked on a consistent basis. She mentioned that in her press conference the other day, 1 through 9, and they have about 12 different players they can rotate in there and out, and not drop too much of a drop. Kennedy Miller has certainly added something, in that seventh spot, or seventh or eighth, where she's batting. The young freshman catcher, and it's just, I love Brie Ellis. She's so shy, and I'm being sarcastic there. Love her as a Twitter read. Love her as a ball player. Love interviewing her, and she's just brought a breath of fresh air to that team. There's a lot of great, personalities and characters on that team, but I think she's added a lot to the mix. Not only, on the field where she's, got a great slugging percentage, and just as a feared person in the middle of that lineup, of which they have a lot that can take you deep if they need to, but they generate a lot of runs. As someone who was a fan of the Cardinals back in the day when they ran all of the bases, I love watching Reagan Johnson and the others. There was a inning last week when I think they were playing Omaha, where the ball never left the infield. They loaded the bases and then chipped away and got three runs, and that was just fascinating softball to watch.
Yep. Yeah, you had I'm looking at it here, looking at the stats. Reagan Hedgecock, she was 2 for 2. Reagan Johnson, again, whenever you got a leadoff batter that can go up and bat 500 for you, that right there sets your tone from the get-go. And then you've got Nia Carter and Brie Ellis right behind. That right there is the most powerful, I would think, personally, 1, 2, 3 starting punch of any lineup in college softball right now.
Yeah, and you got Kylie Halverson and Ryland Hedgecock and the others just, up and down that lineup. I think there are 7 regulars hitting over 300. At least they were going into yesterday. Like many others, I had AT&T problems yesterday, so I wasn't able to keep up with things as much as I usually would, while driving down here. But it's a really loaded lineup. It's who we thought they were, and that's not even clicking on all cylinders yet.
Yep.
And the pitching has other than just, a couple of innings, has been really, really good. And they lost one of those games simply on the ghost rule, courtesy runner rule, where they didn't get their runner in, and their opponent did. So,
yeah,
Penn State, I believe it was.
Yeah, I think it was Penn State. And what I kind of took notice to is that you've got the third combined shutout of the season. So not only is it, the bats and the gloves really starting to take, the production starting to take off. One of the things that you knew last year, you had Shanice Dells. You had that one, that big ace hit, the punch, and you had Robin Heron that came through, and you also had Lo Kaminzid that was really starting to take off a little bit, and then Nikki McGaffin as well. But this year was more question marks than anything, and I really feel like with Morgan Linestock, also with Reese Burline, they've kind of cemented wrapped up those questions that we might have had for them in the circle.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm my I before E that I was taught in school. I'm really having to work with that on some of these new names, but trying to get that down. But the pitching staff has done, I think, a great job for the most part. As I said, a couple of innings there that could have gone better, but. One other thing that mentioned, and I believe it was Ethan Westerman asked the question the other day. Italia Rio is a shortstop that we saw play and make a lot of great plays. Hit the ball well last year. She hadn't gotten much time this year. Coach Deifel said that she, is coming back from injury. She's able to pinch run, but not able to, to do everything she wants to at this point. They're kind of just waiting for the medical doctors to clear her to do that. But that's another player you'll add into the mix. Speed, power, defense that just – they're loaded. and all they have to do is be consistent, which is easy for me to say, but the SEC is loaded as well. It's going to be a fun season. So I think there's 5-6 teams in the top 15, depending on which rankings you look at.
Yeah, because I mean, you've got Casey Hoffman, you got Spencer Priggy. They can both come off the bench. Spencer, utility infielder. Casey, usually holding it down there in right field if you need her to come in. And hell, you can have her come in with that huge pop that she has with the bat. And I think that's what Courtney was referring to whenever you have Italia come back from injury. That's where the 12 come into play, is adding those 3 players. And that we talked to her about it before, but it's more of an embarrassment of riches at this point because of how loaded the lineup is. And we'll have her on here, I do believe, in about a week or so. I've got to talk to the communications department and get that all hammered out, but we will have Coach Staffel on.
Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace.
Yes, it is. Yes, she is great. She is great. Well, Dudley, man, I'm going to get you out of here. You got baseball to get after. You also got softball here coming up pretty soon, if I'm not mistaken. I do believe it starts at
softball at 3, baseball at 7.
3. That's right. Yeah, UT Arlington, and then followed up with Wichita State in a doubleheader this afternoon for the Diamond Hogs at the Bogle Bombers.
And lunch at the Star down there in Frisco, which is where we're staying this weekend with Petra's brother. So we're going to go have a nice little lunch over there at the Star shops and stuff.
Man, take some pictures.
Petra's going to do her best to keep me from buying anything in the Dallas Cowboy gift store, I'm sure.
Well, make sure to see if Jerry can turn the ship around with Micah Parsons and all that mess that he has going on, that stinking locker room. God.
The man, I love him. He's a great player, but you don't have to say everything you think.
No. There's a term for it. It's called oversharing. He does not need to overshare, and God, he's awful at it. So.
Never been accused of that myself.
Well, man, I'm going to get you out of here. You and John have a great time down there, and we will get back with you guys here very shortly here in the next few days. And be sure to tune back in. And if you guys need to, go over hogville.net, follow Dudley on Twitter. You'll have all the updates that you can take. I'm telling you, Dudley, I'm going to tell you what. I don't know how in the hell you retweet and tweet stuff out so fast. Oh, my God.
I was going to say, I was just actually about to bring that up. I've tried doing the live blog thing. I'd like some feedback on that from folks. If that's something they want me to continue to do, I think it helps out if you just want to have a central place to go to. Not everybody has Twitter and X, I know, but I'm trying to do that this year, doing every little, at bat and all that. So, y'all let me know some feedback on that. And if that's something you want to enjoy, it's a little bit extra work, but I'm here for y'all.
Where can you find that at?
It's always on the front page. I have it out on the front page right before the ball game starts, and you can hit that link and you just have to hit update, and it'll, every at bat will have what they do and how it affected the game.
All right, so everybody, whenever there's a Razorback softball, baseball game that goes on, make sure to go over to hogville.net, over into Dudley's. Is it over in your Omahags, and also where?
No, I mean we can put a link there, but it's just on the front page. So
on the front page, okay. So everybody just go into hogville.net, and you'll be able to find it and follow all the at bats and get Dudley some feedback. Definitely wants that, so that way if it's working, great, keep going with it. And, if not, reinvent the wheel. Always have to.
All right, man.
All right, well, y'all take care, and we'll see you very shortly. And go Hogs.